Welcome back to another episode of the Leverage podcast powered by the Next 400 Bound. Basically, y'all already know by now the Next 400's mission is to create a legacy of wealth and community and also to bridge gaps between the diaspora, African descent, and the African continent. You already know it's a long road to 400 years from now, but we're starting with the first journey. Today, I'm excited to have a very extraordinary person rocking with me in the studio today. The Lassie Ainen. I'm going to tell you something crazy about her. She got a lot of multiple things going on for herself. The old school me would say she's a Renaissance woman. But I would say, she's an artist, right? She's an entrepreneur with her own businesses, and she's also a humanitarian. The crazy thing is, approximately about 6 years ago, she made a move from Brooklyn to GH. Now, when I say GH, it's none but, Ghana, West Africa. And that's pretty much why we're here today. Welcome to the show. I'm looking forward to a great convo with you.
Yes.
And I'm going to jump right into it. From Brooklyn to GH.
Yeah.
We'll start from there. Then we'll work our way back.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Like, what made you do it?
Yeah, I have a little bit of like a cheat sheet, you know what I'm saying? I have a cliff notes. That's what I like to tell people because I didn't just jump out the window on them. I didn't just do it like that. My dad, he's the former Deputy Director General of the UN.
Oh.
Yeah.
Shots fired.
About.
Deputy, what?
Deputy Director General.
Whoa, that's a big, of United Nations?
Of the UN, yeah.
Oh, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm saying it with some big shots, you know what I mean? Okay.
So when you're a senior level staff, in that organization, you got certain perks that come with a job.
Absolutely.
One of the perks was they gave him tickets to go to his country of origin with his family.
Okay.
So like every other year we would go to Ghana. So
Okay.
whether it was Christmas or summer, like we would just alternate. So the first time I actually went to Ghana, I was 6 months old. Like I don't remember, but I seen the pictures,
Of course, you're right.
So it was always a part of my upbringing and it was always a part of my reality.
Okay.
And I will never forget because I went to the UN school. So the UN school was on 23rd Street and FDR, downtown Manhattan. And, you see a lot in that area. Celebrities, there's a lot going on.
UN school, what is
The
that
UN
like?
school, United Nations International School. There's a show named The Critic.
Okay.
It was on Fox. Do you remember that cartoon?
Nope.
It was about a fancy film critic, and his son went to United Nations School. So in the cartoon, like they kind of like made fun
Of those
the
kids?
UN school. Yeah.
Why? Because
It was-
you guys are like spoiled brats?
Yeah, I mean that's part of it, but it was crazy because it's like my best friends were from the Philippines, Tunisia, Lesotho, and Russia.
Wow.
Like everything just a mix,
Wow, that's great, though.
So-
That's international exposure. Right
Yeah, so I always had the sensibilities of international travel, and I always had an affinity to Ghana. And my cousins would always tease me like, hey, you love Ghana, pa. Like 'cause
Right.
I would go and I would never want to leave.
Right.
It would be time to go home, and I would be crying. My parents would have to like.
Why did you like it so much at that young age?
At the
Like,
young
what is it?
age,
Yeah.
when I was a kid, I didn't really understand the significance. But now that I'm older, looking back, I understand that, being around your culture after, living most of your life outside of that, America kind of has a way of othering you and making you feel like you're not completely connected. Even in the Black community, even though it wasn't intentional, there were just things I just simply could not relate to because I knew it just was not my culture and I just didn't understand. And sometimes because I have this, very westernized accent and appearance, they'll be saying things about African people thinking that I'm not one of them, you
Right,
know? So
right.
that would make me feel othered also.
Wow.
Because then I'd have to stand up for my people like, what you mean African booty scratcher, bruh?
Yeah, I
Like,
live-
who
I
you
live that.
talking about, man? Like,
Yeah.
I got to stand
You
up
know
for
what's
my people.
crazy? When I was coming up, in the late 90s, I used to, back in the day, I used to be around other African kids who would just because of that say they're from Jamaica or
Yes,
something else.
assimilate. That
That's
was never
crazy.
me.
Yeah, no,
That was never me. I was always 10 toes, always so proud of being a Ghanaian. When anyone would ask me where I'm from, I say Ghana. They'd be like, nah, you have an accent. You got to be from somewhere. I'm like, no, I'm from Ghana. Both my parents are Ghanaians. Like, I've always been very, very close to my country and my heritage. So my cousins would tease me like, "Why do you love Ghana so much? You live in New York City. Why do you love Ghana so much?" But it's like being around the tradition, being around the language, being around the food, being surrounded by people that you know in your heart that you all have this
The
common,
same.
thing. Is not something that the average Ghanaian thinks about because that's a given. But when you don't have that,
And you come in,
and you come
you're ready
into
to
that,
embrace it. Yeah, it's a
your
feeling.
whole
It's
body
a
just
feeling.
feels the
Yeah, it's a
connection.
feeling.
Your whole psychosis feels that connection. Like you don't want to leave. So it was always part of my story that I was going to move to Ghana. I remember my first boyfriend I was 14 years old. We went to Dallas BBQs, okay? We had some
Right
wings,
there.
you know what I'm
What's that,
saying?
Times Square or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And we eating the wings, and I asked him, I'm like, "Yo, you willing to move to Africa?"
He
He's
probably
like, "What?"
thought you were crazy. Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean?
Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, "Well, I'm African." He's like, "Yeah, I know. Everybody knows you're African. You're African." I was like,
Yeah.
"But I'm gonna move there one day, and if we fall in love and get married, I'm gonna still move there with or without you. So I gotta know if you down." And he was like, "Well, you make it sound fly, so I'm gonna go." I was
I
like, "Okay."
did the same thing with my wife. That was the deal. I'm like, well, she's African. She's from Nigeria.
Okay, our cousins.
But I was like, I'm not staying out here forever.
Right.
You sure? That was a deal.
Yeah.
A deal to be. Yeah.
So it was always part of my dream,
So what you had a plan that at a certain age or at a certain stage or like what was the cutoff line, like at this stage, or was it something that just clicked like, okay, it's time, let me go?
Yeah, I never put an age on it, but I did put a stage on it. Like I always said, as soon as it makes financial sense.
Okay.
Or if I can get some kind of like linkage between working here and being over there. Because, you got to get them foreign, them
Of
foreign
course.
coins coming
Of
in.
course, of
The
course.
local economy be a little bit, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But, and as soon as I was able to do that, I thought, yeah, it's time. It's time to make that transition.
I like how you did that. The local economy be what? DJ, please pull that back. Yeah. So you jumped in
Yeah.
and said, I'm gonna go and start, or you had some opportunities and plans in place before you went?
Okay, yeah, that's a very good question. And even me, who had all this experience going to Ghana, I would never have just jumped out the window on it. Like once I decided, okay, like I'm ready to really put wheels into motion, then I started visiting, but intentionally. Because before I would just visit for vacation, I wasn't really having any rhyme or reason. But then once I was like, okay, we really gonna do this, every time I visited, it was very, very intentional. My networking skills went up because Ghana is a classist country.
Definitely.
And coming from America where we are taught that, it's wrong to be classist. We're all equal. We're all human beings. Yes, that's nice in theory. But the truth is, most places in the world don't function like that, including America. But in America, it's more covert. In Ghana,
Absolutely.
it's very accepted. So it's just out there. Like, we're classist. Like, be in your class, you know? So I understood already that I had to network and that me navigating the country would really depend on that network. Even if you have money and you go to Ghana, if your network is limited or you don't know the right people, once you spend a certain amount of money and you don't have any more coming in, you might as well leave because without that network, you're not getting to a bag.
Yeah.
Like they'll stop your bag or they'll just,
there are a lot of gatekeepers.
There's
you
a
say?
lot of gatekeepers. There's a lot of gatekeepers there. So you have to really keep up appearances and really nurture those connections.
So you went in there, you had a plan on
Yeah.
what you were gonna do there.
Yeah.
Would you like to share, or is it private?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's
So
not
you
private.
went in there to do.
Yeah, so I'm a recording and performance artist.
Right.
So for me, I had been connected to Reggie Rockstone through our boy Rab Bakari, may he rest.
Rest in peace, Rob.
Yeah.
Shout out to Rob Bakari. Yeah.
Word, yeah, definitely music executive extraordinaire. He discovered me in New York, heard my stuff. He's like, wow, this is crazy. We don't have any Ghanaian women that are lyrically as
On
strong
that
as
level.
this,
Not on that level.
So Reggie got to hear this. So he let Reggie hear me, and Reggie was like, whoa, like connect me with this girl. So he connected us. And around that time, VVIP had just dropped Dogo Yaro. You remember that record? Yeah.
With Senna. Is it
Yeah,
that
it's
one?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is. I think it is. And I heard it and I was like, wow, Reggie, you know what? I've been doing hip hop for a while, but it's not culturally relevant. You know, I'm a Ghanaian woman and I'm a New Yorker too, but I want to find a way to make both aspects of who I am make sense in my music. Because I feel like I'm hiding this aspect, not intentionally, but it's not showing through the music. And a lot of African artists have this. Like I didn't know Styles P was African until he did a song with Clips and Jada, and it's called
He's
"I'm Not
Nigerian,
You."
right? Background
No,
or what?
I think he's from Sierra Leone, if I'm not
Oh,
mistaken.
okay.
I think. Don't
Yeah,
quote me.
yeah.
Don't
There
quote
there are
me.
a lot of rappers with direct
A
African
lot,
descent.
a
A lot.
lot,
Yeah.
a lot, and they'll mention it in their lyrics, but it won't be culturally in the music. And I wanted to take it a step further and make it culturally relevant. So I talked to Reggie like, listen, I'm hearing all these artists like R2B's, Shatta Wale, like I'm hearing this Kid dude, Burna Boy. This is before they were,
They
you
were,
know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, I'm trying to get in there. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to tap into that side. Like, what can I do? So he became my mentor.
Oh,
And he
that's
kind of
dope.
walked me through it. And the first assignment he gave me was, listen, I got this track right now. It's hot right now. It's called Dogoyaro. Why don't you make a rendition of this? Go to the studio, do a little something with this, send it to me. If it's good, we're gonna put it out there. So the next day I went to the studio.
Killed
I literally just
it.
wrote like 3 verses and laid it down. I sent it to him, and he went crazy. He was like, "This is ridiculous. Listen, we're gonna give you the song. We're gonna let you be the one to do the official remix." And that's how I got into the African
The
music
African
market,
music
because
scene.
I put that out as a single. Then I was able to go to Ghana and do like a little tour. So I did a little media tour, went
With
to all the
them.
little radio
Okay.
stations
All
and
right.
stuff. So I was meeting people, I was networking, I was getting to know the DJs and the presenters and the managers, and I was really like putting work in. I was performing so that I could have that groundwork laid down. So when it's time to move, now I have a network of people in my industry, and now I can navigate. I'm not just like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? But I have some momentum already. And that's what I suggest for anybody who's thinking of moving to a country
To
like Ghana.
Ghana.
Make sure whatever sector that is, it could be real estate, could be tech, it could be finance, it doesn't have to be the arts. But you make sure that you spend some significant time in that sector and connecting with the gatekeepers,
Keepers
you
in
know?
that
It's
sector.
really important to get them. Cause you can't move without them, you
So
know?
before I want to get into this gatekeeper type of conversation,
Yeah.
but sticking to music for a second,
Yeah.
because that's a major part of your life, right?
Yeah.
Your career. So going to Ghana, connecting. What are your thoughts about the Ghana music scene? You know what I mean? Like I want to know because
Woo.
I understand a little bit.
I have so many thoughts and feelings on it. You know, of course, because we're in the same market, we are often compared to Nigeria. And I get that there are discrepancies and there are differences. I mean, the biggest one being the size. They definitely have the advantage. I mean, 250 million versus 35 million in population. They definitely have the advantage. But I do think that Ghanaians are very lazy in their
Shots
in their
fired.
thinking when they simply
Lazy
rely
in their
on the
thinking.
size discrepancy. Because we could say, you know, a country like Cote d'Ivoire is even smaller than Ghana. But look at their artists. Their artists are making money hand over
But
fist.
come
They're
on,
they're
New
they're they're
New
huge.
York controlled hip hop for the entire globe for decades
Well, yeah,
before a lot
but
of other areas
yeah,
caught up.
but
So I
but
don't think
but
it's the size though.
but yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's how understanding the nature of the business. Would you
Yeah,
say so?
that's
You
part
think
of it.
generally Ghanaians understand music business?
I don't think they understand the business aspect, but I do believe that they understand the structural aspect in terms of the literal music, like music theory and things of that nature, because every single artist that's relevant from Nigeria has said this. Like you could look this up each and every time. All the greats have said, I had to go to Ghana first before I blew, because I had to learn things about, you know, music theory, chord progressions, percussion, like all
Are
of
you
these
talking about the
things,
actual music?
the actual music,
Oh,
the
okay.
structure of the actual music. When it comes to the business, like the infrastructure,
Yeah, they don't
we
need
are
Ghana for that.
completely lacking. We are
I don't think they
completely
need.
lacking in Ghana
Why is
in
that?
infrastructure.
What?
Because, and I mean, I'm gonna piss some people off. I don't care because it's true. You know, it goes back to that gatekeeping thing I was saying earlier. The issue is there's still a lot of corruption in the business, and there's not enough foreign or local investment. So there's not enough commerce coming in and out. This is why I personally feel by definition, it cannot be considered an industry. It's a music scene because we have those elements, but we don't have the full infrastructure. You know, there's no like kind of government subsidizing any kind of art programs, music programs. There's no local investment. When you talk to like the big boys, you know, in Ghana about you guys are making money hand over fist. You throw money out at the clubs and you waste it every weekend. Why not take some of this bread and invest it in some of these artists? They will never do it. They will never ever do
You
it.
know, one thing I know about Ghana is that somebody has to show them how it's done, make it look good, show that it's profitable, and then they'll do it. Like I've seen this on many levels where it's like, you know, if you present an idea, it sounds great, but it's not doable because they haven't seen it work where it transformed to money. So you have to.
I don't agree with that.
You don't agree with that?
No,
Okay,
for two
why not?
reasons. And I say this all the time. In California, all right, Los Angeles has the largest GDP. Do you know why? Hollywood. What is Hollywood? Hollywood is the art, the film industry. That is America's largest export. America,
Absolutely.
the most powerful country in the world, their largest export is pop culture.
Absolutely.
Right? The
Yeah.
intangible, entertainment.
Yeah.
The globe already knows how powerful music and the
Right.
arts are.
Right.
The world already knows how powerful tourism is based on those attractions. Ghanaians don't need that reiterated. You don't. We have seen that already. But even if Ghanaians needed it specifically for them, tailor-made to them, 2019, year of return, they did this, what was it, Afro Nation, Afro Future?
Yeah.
Afrofuture alone brought in like 50% of that $2.1 billion because all of these people were coming for
that
the music
reason.
tourism.
Right.
So even if y'all didn't understand this 10 years ago, you understood this 5 years ago
Right.
when we made $2.2 billion.
Well, but
y'all understood it
you
then.
gotta understand something, right?
This is excuses.
You said earlier that it's a classist society, right? So when I look at a society like that, they probably are not looking at the music industry or the film industry as a real business. They probably look at it as it's just something these guys are doing. But I don't think a real look has been given to it on the political level. Whereas you're actually in, let's say, a ministry of finance saying, let's really look at what tourism actually does and why is it doing that? Is it the music? Like, how can we quantify this to make it a business? I could see other countries doing it, but I probably think a country like Ghana will probably focus on like, let's look at this gold refinery or whatever, oil refinery or whatever, rather than music.
I don't.
You don't agree?
No, I
So
don't.
what-
Because
so
I
then
don't
if
think
they-
it's ignorance. I think it's just short-sightedness and it's impatience. Because like an industry like film or music, especially with film, you invest millions and millions into a film, and it takes at least 24 months to produce that film, and then you need to do all of the promotion for that film, and then the film needs to run its course before you even begin to think about profits off of that film. But the average Ghanaian like investor or business person is not trying to wait. Like they're trying to invest in things that will give an immediate return. And because music is a different kind of industry
what I'm
with
saying,
high
though. We're saying-
with risk. I mean,
Yeah.
everything's a risk essentially, but with a higher level of risk, they're not willing. What you stated was like, oh, they don't see it or they don't see the probability. No, they see it, but they lack one, the patience, and two, they're not comfortable with that risk factor. But they are aware. The whole world is aware of how profitable the arts are. We've seen it too
So
many
I'll
times.
give you a scenario.
Those elite people that you're talking about yourself, they buy CDs, they've been to concerts, they've paid for these things.
Right.
They know that it is a profit-based business, and they're aware of
And
that.
so it's like
but
if
they're just not willing to tap
yeah,
in.
because they don't have the patience. I
They
can see
don't.
I can see that. For example, you know one thing, I was in Ghana last year and I went to the Ministry of Tourism because I paid attention to what Ghana tourism is like, right? Everybody wants to go to Ghana. I was like, you know
Yeah.
what? Let me just go into this Ministry of Tourism. I'll be honest with you, I'm a Ghanaian, right? But like, coming in from here, I walked into that building. I was shocked that this is what it looked like. The building itself, right? The office. I'm like, is this the tourism office? So I'm like, okay, so if I was in Ghanaian and when I walked in, it was just like it didn't really look like this building here is responsible for the tourism in
Yeah.
Ghana, right? And it kind of made me feel a certain type of way because if I was just a random person coming in there to do some type of a business on a different level, I would have walked into that place and
And
the way
walked
they
right
bounced
out.
me around and I looked and I was like, the elevator, and I don't know if I want to get on this elevator. I'm going to take this. I
Yeah.
just looked around and I'm like, do you know how many millionaires are coming into this country? This building for tourism, first off, need to be like, you walk in there, you got to feel like I want to see every place in this country.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of that, but we can talk about this music in Ghana. But before we, so what's next? Was it successful? Has it been successful? Have you made progress? What is it
For
like?
me, no, because I'm just not willing to play the game that they want to play, which
Okay.
is, it has a lot to do with sexual manipulation.
Uh oh.
Especially as a woman, I think, if you look at the Ghana music scene, there's quite a few men that are doing really well. But for the women, you see a lot less of us. I could say Jackie right now is doing really well, Amaray, but Amaray isn't even acknowledged in Ghana as a Ghanaian artist, honestly, at all. But she's super successful right now. She's doing her thing, and Efia, like there's a couple, but for the volume of female artists that there are that I know of versus the ones that are actually visible and relevant, the discrepancy is humongous. And I think it's because a lot of times, if you don't have the right protection around you, from every single angle, everybody is trying to exploit you sexually.
Yeah, it's
That's
rather
what I dealt
unfortunate.
with. That's
It's
what that's
rather
what slowed my
unfortunate.
progress,
It's
and I
rather
had to change
unfortunate.
my whole strategy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I wish you luck with the music stuff. And
Thank you.
I guess, at least from this conversation and what I already know,
Yeah.
there's definitely room for improvement.
Yeah.
There needs to be like a major restructuring of the music industry in Ghana
Absolutely.
so that we can compete. Because if everybody is coming there to get the foundation,
Station.
and then going
Yes.
out there and blowing up, because if you
Yes.
got Burna Boy from, what's her name? The girl from Nigeria,
T, what's that?
Thames,
Oh,
Tiwa
Thames.
Savage, all
Yeah.
it doing big things. What's the equivalent in Ghana?
Yeah.
Is it Shatta Wale? That's it.
Yeah. The
But
big
he's
three,
not.
Shatta, Stonebwoy, and Sako J are like our
But who?
big three.
Yeah, but who's even on Burna Boy's level? Is there?
Not yet.
Okay, there we go.
I'm,
So
I'm
we
coming.
got room. You know what I'm saying? You're next. You know.
Yeah.
But now let's shift gears a little bit. As an entrepreneur in Ghana,
Yeah.
right? Do you really think there's opportunity in Ghana? You grew up, you lived in Brooklyn. Right now, I get a lot of calls. Yo, I'm going to Ghana. This one said I was in Ghana. Or I see online people are in Ghana. I want to go move to Ghana. All this stuff.
Yeah.
Do you really believe there's opportunity in Ghana
Yeah, I do.
or
I do.
opportunities?
Yeah, I believe, you know why? Because business is all about solutions. And Ghana has a lot of problems. So if you're coming to a country like that and you're very like solution minded, solution oriented, then you're going to have a field day. Like I was talking to somebody about this. I won't give too many details because I don't want anybody to necessarily take their idea. But we were talking about water filtration, and they were talking about like creating something very, very small and very inexpensive that people could put in their homes so that they can use
The
versus
tap
these
water.
water satchel things. And as long as you have an idea that solves a problem and it's actually economical, because you also have to know it's a developing economy.
Right. So you
So it has to
can't.
be something that,
Right.
the layman can afford.
Absolutely.
If you can bring these aspects together in a business model, you will kill
But
it.
this is what.
There is so much money to be made.
This is the conversation we've been having, with the next 400 in terms of bridging the gap
Yeah.
and getting diaspora and African descent or African Americans
Yes.
involved in the investment and,
Yes.
development process in Africa.
Yes.
What you just said is phenomenal because I could see like a a Chinese business person or business company or country or whatever going in there and looking at all these little things that will solve little problems. And
Yes.
obviously, they know how to. They're the most the most savvy when it comes to developing cost-effective products, and
Yes.
they'll be capitalizing on that. Good for the economy, good for the country, foreign investors, whatever, whatever, not. But my conversation has always been, why aren't we the ones doing it? You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? So part of the reason why, I'm doing this podcast, for example, is to just create the platform and the room for conversations like this
Mm-hmm.
so that people can get to understand some of the things they're in the dark
Yeah.
about, and knowing that it is really possible for us to kind of collectively do some of these things,
Sure.
because before you know it, we, especially those of us in the diaspora who've lived there for a while, we'll be going back home and we'll be strangers in our own lands.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's true.
What would you say to somebody who, or people who are thinking about making a move like you just made,
Yeah.
good or bad? Like, what would you say, good and bad? Like, what would you recommend?
Okay. Well, one thing that I've seen a lot of is there's a lot of black people in Ghana. There's a lot of black Americans there. So, and that community just grows exponentially every year, which is exciting. But some of the downsides of this is I've seen black Americans complaining that Ghanaians try to like overcharge them for certain things and they feel targeted, right? And I try to tell them, my parents, who have been born and raised in this country, speak all the languages, eat the foods and everything else. They try to get them too. Like, what you have to understand is it's not a targeting thing. You're not being targeted because you're black and you're American. Anybody can get it. Anybody can catch the smoke.
I can
You
get
know what
it.
I
I
mean?
caught smoke.
Yeah.
As
And
soon
they
as you
take
get off
it
the
really
plane, you're a target.
they take it really personally and it affects their experience. And what I try to explain to them all the time is like, don't self victimize. Like, you have to study a culture really well before you decide that I want to integrate myself into this so that you can be prepared, because it's also a psychological transition. When you're entering a different culture, there's so many different aspects that you have to consider. And so one of the first things I would say is definitely don't go after the first or second trip. But also, do your due diligence and read, those forums where people are giving, like feedback about their
Feedback.
personal experiences. Look at articles. When you go, make sure that you connect with locals. Another thing I see a lot is Black Americans staying like in these cliques and groups of other Black Americans. And I understand that. You want a certain level of comfort. You're going to gravitate towards what you're familiar with. Do that. But make sure that you're very intentional about connecting with the local
Local
culture
people.
too. Because one, that'll give you more of an insight to different, nuances and things that will make your transition easier. But two, we don't want to create that kind of dynamic. You came here because you want to connect with your roots, with your ancestry. You're trying to get away from a certain energy in the West, which we can all relate to that, and that's very understandable. But don't be like a stranger in a foreign land. Like they're saying, Sankofa, come home. That's like, you're a part of this. We want you to be a part of this. So don't feel like you're an other. Don't
Right.
victimize yourself. Like, understand the culture
Yeah,
for
because
real. Do
some
the due
people,
diligence.
I see that maybe one or two people may have a bad experience, and then they tend to, sound the alarm on it and make it like it's really bad. But
Yeah.
I know Ghana is a very welcoming
Yes,
place.
very,
You understand
very,
what I'm saying?
very.
Let's talk about investing in Ghana, right? So, what would you say to somebody right now? I know how it goes. You go into Ghana, you get excited, right? There's an emotional thing where you're like, wow, I'm in the motherland.
Yeah.
Because I take a lot of dudes. I've brought friends and stuff over, African American
Sure.
friends to Ghana. So I know the experience. 9 out of 10, I've left them there and come back. They're like,
Wow, they don't want to
yeah, I
leave.
don't
I
want to
know
leave.
that's
Or
right.
I'll get a call later, yo, I'm back in Ghana. I'm like, whoa, hold on. So
Yeah.
Ghana is that environment for that. But when we talk about investing in Ghana so that people can mitigate the risk of possibly getting into wrong investments, Tell me something about that, because I think this is very important, because people will call me and say, hey, somebody said I can buy this house in Ghana for 50K. Look at it, and they send me a picture. And I don't want to be a dream killer, right? I don't want to kill that person's business. It could be legit or whatever. But at the same time, I know I've got in
Yeah.
Ghana, right?
Yeah.
And their first instinct, of a developing country, like you said, with that kind of, economy and people going through stuff, they want to sell you things, even if they know it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So what do you say to, let's say, an African American or somebody going to Ghana right now, and they're like, yo, you could get this whole land right here for 10K, and they're like,
Yeah.
that's it, and they're ready to
Yeah.
dish it out.
Yeah, land and real estate scams are probably the most common because they're the easiest to get. People, especially that emotional, aspect of it, so it's real easy. And I always tell people, real estate is probably one of the smartest investments that you can make in a country like Ghana. So I would never discourage anyone from doing that. However, I think what a lot of people feel like if they go there and they have a really positive experience, it gives them this false confidence. They feel like, oh, I have some local friends and I had a really good experience and nothing bad happened to me. Nobody scammed me, so I should be good. I mean, I'm really intelligent. I have street smarts. I'm from Brooklyn or whatever. Like, I got through that. I could get through anything. And I mean, I feel you, but it's a completely different beast. So I would never ever suggest that you ever do anything real estate related without a lawyer, a real
Okay.
estate lawyer,
Hear that?
not just
Yes, yeah,
anybody.
yeah.
That's a
You need
lawyer.
a
That
lawyer.
yes, you have to, because there's so much discrepancy. There's so much paperwork, and then culturally, okay. So there's an aspect to real estate and land where there's still kind of like part of the traditional culture is still kind of a part of it. Like for the chiefs and stuff, when you get land, you kind of have to pay them as well, and like go through all those processes. As somebody from the outside of that culture, you're not going to really understand how that goes. Maybe 3 4 different chiefs is going to come to you with their hand out,
Right.
knowing that it's only one of them or maybe 2 of them at the most who's supposed to be benefiting off of this transaction, but you don't know because you don't know anything about it. So you also need the lawyer because people sell land 2, 3, 4 different times.
Right.
If you buy land in Ghana and you don't build anything on it, there's some clause in the law that allows that land to be, reoccupied. So you can't just leave land there for like 3 and 4 years and think, okay, I'll
It's
come here
gonna
4
be
years
there.
later and it's just gonna be there. You will see an entire new house on there
Yeah.
and be confused.
Yeah, like
This
what
is why that happened to you.
Something like
Something
that.
like that. It happens all the time. So you have to make sure that you have a lawyer so that they can go through all of the right protocols and you can feel protected.
And then
People
that's
don't want to.
accountability, right? The lawyer.
Exactly. People don't
Right.
want to spend a little extra money, but getting completely frauded will cost you that entire investment. So it's worth it to spend just a little extra and retain a legal counsel. And these lawyers aren't, as
Cheap.
busy.
They're not cheap either.
Right. They're not cheap,
They
but
shouldn't be,
a
because
lot of
they're
them are looking for work, so you can negotiate,
so
and you could get somebody good.
yeah. So just we have this business that we're putting together, myself and my team, Saya Global. It's a international risk management company.
Oh, dope.
And it involves accountants, forensic accountants, lawyers, fraud examiners, and so
Yes.
on and so forth. Some within the continent, some actually in Ghana, and some here. And the purpose of that company that we're forming is to help mitigate these, because we can't advocate for bridge building, collective wealth creation, you know, driving diaspora investments to Africa, these conversations, and just leave people with information without figuring out a way to help.
Yeah,
So
the
that's
resources.
work in progress. So we're building this thing where we can help people who want to invest in that region, present their ideas, right? Sometimes it's important to know, why am I doing this? Even me as an accountant, when I sit with a client and they're telling me about their investment plans, you always want to know, like, what's the end game?
Game, yeah.
Are you investing in Ghana just to flip a dollar? Or are you planning to move to Ghana when you retire? And if so, which approach is better for you, you know. So I'm very excited about this company. Once we get it off the ground with all the pieces, because right now we're doing legal structuring of it all. Once we get all those pieces together, I'll do a whole presentation of what that does, and I think it's just gonna be an amazing tool for a lot of people to
Yeah.
check out.
Yeah.
Especially, it's a company formed in the United States,
Yeah.
so you could get to vet out your projects and get aligned with the right trusted partners.
Yeah, that's
You understand what I'm
excellent. That's a
saying?
great idea. But yeah, real quick, I just wanted to add,
Mm-hmm.
people, back to that real estate thing. People build homes and things, and they want to be remote, while this whole process is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it, because you have this whole life. You're not ready to pick up everything and be there. But I really don't encourage anybody to do this,
To do what?
because to like start a project or start building and then go back, because a lot of times that's how people get scammed too. Because you
Because you got
feel
to
like you
send
have
money.
somebody there who is trusted.
No.
They will run off with your money.
Yeah.
They won't get, stuff done for you. And even sometimes relatives will do you like that.
Right.
So if you're really serious about a building project, make sure that you're there. Make sure
Yeah.
that you're there.
Yeah.
Be there. Like, set yourself up so that maybe you could work remotely for a year, however long that project is, 18 months, however long that is, so that you can, with your own eyes, see the
what's happening.
process, see the progress, see how much each of these materials are. Like, how are my workers being paid? All
but
that.
this is going to be difficult. So I'm an American. I have a job. I only have 2 weeks of vacation per year. I'm investing. I want to build this home. Is this one of the reasons why you know you should just buy an already built property?
I mean, it's definitely easier, but that really
It
depends
becomes
on.
costly, you think?
It really depends on what your goals are. If you're that much of a particular person, then you're not going to be satisfied buying someone else's home. Like, you have a very specific vision, and you have a way that you want to live your lifestyle, and you want your house to be specific to that. That's not going to work for you. But I mean, I'm sorry to say, there's just not too many loopholes. Like, what I would say is the next step is try to get somebody who's a relative or somebody that you
Trusted
deeply,
partner.
sincerely
Right?
trust.
Trusted partner.
But just try not to leave it up to somebody
Right.
that you think is, trustworthy.
Right.
Be certain that this person is trustworthy. They've proven themselves. They've been vetted for years.
Right.
And you can leave them somewhere for several months and know that what they say they're doing is happening.
Right.
Because I've seen this just too many times.
Right.
People leaving building projects to
Right.
be done. It either doesn't get done, or money is distributed poorly, or
Right.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So,
I walked length and breadth of a whole land, and I got scammed out of it. You understand what I'm saying? I was excited. I'm like, wow, I get all of this. I can see all of this. Well, I can see the whole crowd lit up from what? This is gonna be amazing. And coming to find out, with somebody I trusted, and coming to find out, they didn't even own the land, and that's the thing, the excitement.
yeah.
You get excited, like, wow, I'm getting this, and then, so
Yeah, a lawyer would shut that right down.
yes,
And
so
make sure you're
lawyers
good.
are key, man. Lawyers, we coming, man.
Another
You-
thing too, another loophole. My parents have land in the mountains. It's like 46 acres.
Ooh.
It's a lot of
They
land.
haven't stolen it yet?
And they can't, right. But see, this is what I was just gonna say. They have a groundskeeper that they pay.
Wow.
They built him a small shack, like a 1 bedroom with a bathroom. Everything is functioning, and he lives there. They give him a monthly pay, and all he does is he surveys that land, make
make
sure
sure.
that nobody's there. He has some workers that work under him. I think it's 5 men.
And it's probably not costly, right? Just to
No, I
keep
mean,
somebody like that.
No,
Yeah.
because you can forego that and have your land stolen. So what is the alternative?
Do
so
that.
my parents found that loophole, and they just made this really small structure on the land, and he lives there. He's there every day, and then he has his workers that come in. They work beneath him, and between like 6 or 7 of them, they make sure that nobody's encroaching on the land, that all of the borders are intact, and nothing weird is going on. No weird animals are there setting up
That's
shop.
good.
Yeah,
That's a good. That's
so
a
you
good
can do
tip.
that
Yeah,
too
you
as
can
an
do that.
alternative.
And
Build
that's,
something temporary and small, and have
you're
somebody,
you're
you're
helping
paying.
somebody. You're helping a family that
Yes,
needs a
the
place to
local
stay. Yeah,
economy.
you're
And
helping
if
a
they
local.
know they're going to get money from you every month, they're not going to mess that up. You know, if
Mm-hmm.
they're smart, they're not going to mess that up. So you could feel secure that somebody's watching your land for you, even if you're not ready to build that home, or let's say you don't have the time to be there or have eyes there, but you want to preserve it. That's a way you can get around it. Build something super small,
Mm-hmm.
hire somebody local to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that they're, watching that land for you and making sure you're protected. Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of gatekeepers,
Yeah.
gatekeepers, like, so you're saying connect with gatekeepers within certain industries to make
Yes.
certain things happen. How does one do that without? I'm interested in Ghana. 3, 4, 5 guys. We go to Ghana. We know we have some money. We want to do stuff. How do we get to the right people to get things done?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
imagine I know nobody, but I've read about this country. I want to. What would you recommend? Go to the Ministry of
yeah,
Ministry of
that's a good question.
getgot.com.
That's a good question. I actually had to do this precise thing because, like I was explaining earlier, before I moved to Ghana, I really set myself up in the music sector.
Mm-hmm.
After being there for a while and realizing there's no infrastructure, it's
Mm-hmm.
really all over the place, and
Mm-hmm.
people are trying to exploit me, like,
Mm-hmm.
I decided that next year that I was going to be very intentional on making connections in tech,
Mm-hmm.
finance, and more sustainable industries that I know there's a lot of money
Coming
coming
in
in and out of. So I wrote down the sectors that I
that you
wanted
want to
to
focus in on.
write. And then what I did after that was, I mean, Google was my friend. Like, I started looking up people that were prominent in these sectors because they're always in the media. Ghana
Right.
media
Right.
really is good at
Right.
following those that are at the top
Making
of their
news. Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
So I did that. I wrote a list of people that I had intended on crossing paths with. I went to LinkedIn, followed a lot of them there, and through that connection, I started, reaching out to them and creating a rapport. Then on top of that, I researched like what are all the conferences going on that are free, in the city, like
Good
now and
tip. Good
coming up.
point. Yeah.
And then I started going to conferences, and when you go to conferences, it's a much better it's a much
Relaxed
better
environment
platform
to network,
because
right?
they know everybody that's going there is somebody
Some.
intentional. People that play around aren't going to waste their time going to a
Mm-hmm.
conference.
Mm-hmm.
So you came here not only to listen to what the speakers are
Mm-hmm.
saying, but to connect with them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really good way, if you're trying to meet someone in a certain sector, they're speaking on a panel, show up,
Mm-hmm.
support them. They're going to be open to speaking to you because you've come to support them.
Mm-hmm.
You're listening to what they say. It's great to regurgitate what someone has said. They love that when
Mm-hmm.
you're
Mm-hmm.
listening and
Mm-hmm.
you're taking it in. And then you build those connections from there. I went to a slew of conferences. I met so many people in tech, finance, and real estate because those were the conferences I went to: real estate conferences, tech conferences. And that's how I built those relationships. So
Yeah.
you can do that.
Networking is like everything.
Yeah,
Do
it
you
is.
think that coming from overseas, wherever, gives you leverage? And I feel like it does when you're in Ghana and you present as somebody who came from, say, United States, Canada, UK, whatever. You get a leverage and opportunity for a conversation. Is it true? I've heard
Yeah.
this that Ghanaians favor foreigners over even their local people.
Yeah, there's this thing they call colo mentality that I think Fela
Colonial.
Kuti popularized that term.
Hmm.
But it does mean like colonial mentality just from colonialism. So yeah, Ghanaians have that real bad, real bad, and they love everything that's foreign. Everything that's not from there, they love that. So
Yeah.
if you're coming from the UK, Australia, the US, you definitely have leverage. People will already think you're interesting.
Right.
They'll be excited to know that you wanted to come to their country to see
Hmm.
them.
Hmm.
And so they're going to have
Give it a
a certain
chance.
rapport,
Yeah.
a certain
Give it a
respect for
chance.
you because you've come here. So yeah, you definitely have a leverage.
All right,
That
so
is
take
clear.
note on that. So,
Yeah.
speaking of that, do you believe in bridge building? So, basically, I had this vision that I believe because of my upbringing or growing up here in the United States around the African American community as a very, very, very young person on my own and connecting with, a lot of my brothers on that side. And also being from Ghana, I always thought that there's been this gap and there's been a lot of misunderstanding. It's a huge conversation. I'm not trying to break it all down in this conversation. But what are your thoughts on bridge building? Because that's the focus of the next 400. I
Yeah.
feel that there's power in, you if you lived on this side of the world, you have way more resources than counterparts over there in Africa or even West Africa for me, for example. So my thoughts are, how can we, bridge this gap so that we can learn? Because you said something about networking. So, if somebody reached out to you on, say, LinkedIn or whatever, and they're like, hey, I want to know more about Ghana, I like, like, what do you think of? What are your real thoughts on bridge
Child,
gap?
billable hours, okay? Y'all think I'm just a tour guide or something? No, no, I'm just playing.
She ain't
But
playing, man.
I'm not playing.
It's
But
business.
no, people be staying in my inbox like, oh, tell me about Ghana. Oh, my cousin's best friend's boyfriend's coming to Ghana. Can you show him around?
Maybe you should
I'm
do a
like,
webinar
child.
like this,
Yeah,
right?
I
You do
probably, yeah,
like a
right?
webinar,
Yeah, I
right?
probably
And
should.
say, pay me. You could watch my, webinar for
Nine, nine,
whatever.
nine,
You know
nine,
what I
nine,
mean?
nine,
I
nine.
tell you everything.
Tell you everything.
And, we do private consultations.
That's it.
Yeah.
But no, in terms of bridge building, I'm a Pan Africanist. So
Right.
just in my veins, it's already there. Like my brand is called Panalove, which is Pan African love spliced together. So all the work that I do in terms of even like my music and my foundation, my NGO, is all about bridging that gap. And I'm gonna throw this in there too because people know that I'm an entrepreneur, but they might not know in what sense. I'm in the fashion world, so I have a fashion online business. It's called panalove.online.
Okay.
I'm currently developing a line of clothing for millennial women.
Oh.
And it's going to be with GTP Fabrics. So for
Okay.
those that aren't familiar with GTP Fabrics, it is the largest and oldest textile company in the country. They're over 30, 40 years old, and their fabrics are quality. So high quality African print fabrics. And I'm working with them. And my whole thing about building this is like really, really, really specific. I work with tailors and seamstresses that are from the working class community.
That's
so
good.
they're not people that went to a fancy Parisian,
Right.
fashion school or
FIT.
FIT or anything like that. They work with their hands. Some of them are not fully educated, but they're extremely talented. And this is an opportunity for them to create something with their hands that somebody, here in Hoboken could wear, or in Ireland or Australia or, anywhere in the world. And they never thought that something they made with their hands can reach
That's a
these
beautiful
corners of
thing.
the world.
Yeah.
By working with them, I give them an opportunity to see that dream through. But on the other side of that, there's another side. Now, there's the American who loves Afrobeats music, loves jollof rice and egusi and, peanut butter soup and all of these things. And through the beauty of music has been able to tap into Africa in a way that they never have before. And therefore, they really want to visit. Visiting Africa is not cheap. And it's not something that most people can just get up and do. These tickets cost thousands of dollars, not
Absolutely.
to mention your stay, your hotel, your amenities,
all of that.
everything
Yeah.
that you need while you are there. You could easily flex like $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 for a trip like that. Not everybody has that.
True.
But you could buy a dress for like $100 and
Right.
know that it's made not only from Ghanaian textiles, but Ghanaian hands. Like somebody from the local community has touched this and crafted this with their hands. And now you are wearing this. And this is like a way that the diasporas that are outside of home can connect. You might not be able to visit Ghana right away, but this is a way for you to tap in and really connect and then show the rest of the world that connection. Because when they see you come into the office with that, really
But can
fly
somebody
African
get
print
that
dress,
from here? Do they have to be in Ghana to get that?
My brand is e-commerce, so
Okay.
everything is online.
Okay.
And my largest market is the United States. Like
Okay.
80% of my consumers come from the U.S.
And what is it called again?
Panalove.
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 Okay.
.online, not .com. .online.
.online.
Yeah.
All right.
.online.
That's good.
And I'm releasing the line in December. So it's
I like that energy. You know.
Yeah.
boosting the
So
local economy, right?
yes,
Creating jobs.
and also, when you were talking about that bridge, creating that bridge in a way that is tangible, because flying out to Ghana for Christmas is not tangible for a lot of people,
Yes.
but investing in a $50 shirt
It's
or
part of, it's like an experience, right?
yes, and it
An
connects you.
experience.
It connects you to the culture in a way that you can wear proudly, and you can make a statement without making a statement.
Right. I like that.
Yeah.
So
So
what do you do? Obviously, you're employing them. How do they get some of their shines? Like, you do something cool, like, if you get the dress, you wear it, they take a picture or something. Like, I don't know. I'm just being random.
well,
I thought
they're kind of shy. A lot of
they're kind
people
of
that I
shy.
work with are shy, but
They just want to stay in.
I'm working on putting together some content that
That would
shows
be
the
sure.
behind the
Scenes.
scenes
That
of
would be pretty
how
cool.
it happens, also for investors.
Right, right.
Okay,
This is what
so
we're
they can
doing. This,
see, because I
this,
do need some
yes,
investors.
we're
Okay.
creating a legacy of wealth and community. So
Yes.
if you're out here and you hear this and it sounds great,
Come on down.
yeah, man, let's make let's go put up the little mini
Yes.
factory over
Yes.
there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With
So
chipping, next 400. That's what we do.
that's
We
all.
put together the finances to get it
That's
popping,
it.
right?
Yeah. So I definitely want to include them in all of that behind the scenes content and stuff. So people will see that. Yeah.
So in the beginning, I said you were a humanitarian. So I know you have an NGO.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. So my NGO is the Panela Foundation. And it is certified in Ghana. And I would love to get a 501c here in the States so that I can turn it into an international NGO.
Okay.
For now, though, the focus is on healthcare systems and healthcare crises that disproportionately affect us in the diaspora, and Africans on the continent. And the first issue that I'm kind of tackling is disease and skin cancer related to skin bleaching.
Ooh.
Yes, this is a big one because skin bleaching is probably one of the most pervasive practices outside of, whites or Europeans. Everybody else bleaches. Asians bleach, Latinos bleach, my Caribbean people bleach. Black Americans, they don't like to admit it, but they bleach. Africans on the continent bleach. And it's a $34 billion industry. So it shows no signs of stopping. But what people don't know is it causes psychosis, yes, mental health diseases, neurological diseases, cancer of the liver, the blood, the skin, the kidney diseases, infertility, high blood pressure, hypertension. There's so
Damn.
many negative health effects that impact you. That is not to mention the third-degree burns. I know you've seen those people with like the orange skin and then those black spots. That's their skin burning, but for your very eyes. Yes. And it's hard to reverse. And, Africans already have challenges. So to add all these health challenges that are very expensive to cure, it makes no sense. So they don't have access to the healthcare, but they have access to the bleaching creams, which
Ooh.
creates that dichotomy that, puts us in a really, really bad position. And these multinational corporations are pumping this into the economies. In the beauty industry in the world, 50% of beauty products are dedicated to skin bleaching. In the African market, it is 80%. 80%.
Shots fired.
So you have more of a chance of using a dangerous, chemical product with bleaching cream or components like hydroquinone and mercury than you are of using something that is actually helpful for your skin. If it has a bunch of complicated ingredients, leave it alone, because I promise you there's something in there that will bleach your skin. If it says brightening, any kind of language like that, leave it alone, because I promise you it contains some level of bleaching agents, and it's really, really dangerous.
So how does your organization help bring
Yeah.
what awareness?
Yes, that's a good
Okay.
question. So I do a lot of community outreach. So I do a lot of public speaking. I go to like secondary schools, universities, but I also go to like major forums, major conferences, medical conferences, cancer, oncology, talking to these doctors and trying to get not only like their resources, but funding to help this. What I want to do hopefully next year is work with Doctors Without Borders and have a bunch of them come and do consultations for people with skin ailments so they
Wow.
can determine what it is that they have and what kind of cures are available for them or what alternatives are available for them.
Wow,
In
that's
Ghana,
awesome.
for
Yeah.
instance, we are 35 million.
Mm-hmm.
For 35 million people, there are 24 dermatologists. 24. 24. We could compare that to Australia. Australia has about 22 million.
24 dermatologists?
24 for 35 million people, and Australia has
Yeah,
like 20
all
million
you going
people.
to school to become politicians so you can spend the goddamn money. You should just go to medical school and become dermatologist because there's probably some money here for you.
Well, yeah, it's definitely cultural because culturally Africans believe that dermatology is a vain kind of medical practice, like for people that want Botox, and I mean, and that's a
Mm-hmm.
part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But our skin is our biggest organ; it's our most vulnerable and very susceptible to disease. So, what dermatologists do is very critical and very important for our health, but we downplay it a lot. In
Mm-hmm.
2017, Angola started a project with the government
Mm-hmm.
where they're providing full scholarships for any students going into dermatology.
Mm-hmm.
And so that encouraged them to increase, their dermatological sector. And
See,
I'm
that's
hoping
that's
that
pretty
through my
good.
organization,
Mm-hmm.
I can lobby to our government in Ghana and others
Mm-hmm.
to consider following Angola's footsteps because that is something that really lacks all over the continent, except for Northern Africa. Sub-Saharan, I don't like using that term, but I'll just use it here for clarity. In Sub-Saharan Africa, that is one of our biggest problems.
Do you have positive feedback when you have these conversations? Is it like people are aware of the dangers, but they don't care. They just want to look however they want to look,
Yeah.
or they receive it well, like wow, I didn't know this, and you
Yeah,
know,
it's always wow, I didn't know this. Most people don't know this. A lot of this information I didn't even have. And a lot of people ask me, like, well, what inspired you to start this? Well, for one, my aunt died when I was 12. She got cancer from the bleaching.
whoa,
So I was really, really little when this happened, and I didn't understand because she never left Ghana. And she was a model. So I'm thinking, this woman is surrounded by blackness. She got paid because she was beautiful, and she still didn't like herself. Mommy, I don't understand. But, a 12-year-old couldn't understand the implications of colonialism, imperialism, and that colo mentality that surpasses, aesthetics and what you see, but it's in your mind,
mm-hmm.
and these companies, they don't help. There's billboards all over Africa showing lighter skinned people and saying, live the high life and, have a beautiful life with this lighter
Yeah,
skin. So
that's
they're
crazy.
constantly feeding that idea into
Yeah,
your mind that
yeah.
your life will be better, easier, happier if you have lighter skin. So a lot of people's misery, they feel it's directly tied to their dark skin, and that's why they do this. So
Man, that's like that's a whole show.
yeah,
We got a whole
yeah,
episode. We got to
uh-huh.
talk about this skin thing, man.
Uh-huh. It's
Like,
crazy.
people not, proud of their natural state.
Yeah, yeah.
The skin, the hair, all that
All
stuff.
that. Yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's amazing. I
Thank
think you're a
you.
very young person and you're doing all these things and actually doing something, huge, such as this mission to bring awareness to this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, do you have fundraisers or like,
Mm,
have you done one yet? Like,
I haven't done a fundraiser per se, but what I have done is some summits. So I have this thing called the Panel of Summit,
mm-hmm,
and it's two panel discussions with a performance break in between. So
mm-hmm,
since I'm a humanitarian and an artist, I like to kind of bring those worlds together.
mm-hmm,
So I usually perform, and I handpick 3 local artists from the community to also perform,
mm-hmm,
and then between the panels, just to break things up. So the panels are usually about wellness and health issues,
mm-hmm.
but anything that is culturally relevant is what I like to discuss. And then we always have a little piece where I discuss the work my foundation does. It's not a fundraising thing. It's actually free. Like I put a lot of my own capital into what I'm doing, but I am getting to a point where it's starting to cap. You know what
I got
I'm
you. I
saying?
got you. So,
So
so yeah, that's so if anybody's watching this, if you're watching this podcast and you really like what she's doing, you should look it up. Panna Love
Yes, Panela Foundation.
Foundation. Look
Yeah.
that up, get some information on that,
Yeah.
and support, because we need to love our God given bodies and
Yeah.
just, let it just flow naturally. I
That's
don't get
all.
into those conversations. I like to build a bridge from New York to Ghana,
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah.
stuff. That's what I'm into. On that bridge building thing,
Yeah.
before we sign off for the day,
Mhm.
do you honestly believe that it's doable? When I sit here and I say that I want to see a lot of collaborations between Africans and African Americans, because of course it will bring economic gain like never before on both sides. Do you believe that?
Yeah, I do because I feel like we've seen it in a larger scale. Like for instance, NBA Africa. Like we've kind of seen how such a big organization like the NBA has used their resources to go onto the continent and then leverage the talent that is there in those communities, and like create space for them to have their own kind of system in terms of basketball, because soccer, football is so popular and these other sports are getting overshadowed. So now people are seeing NBA and the work that they're doing, and now we're seeing that they're investing more in tennis teams and golf and other alternative sports outside of football. And I think that's really exciting to see how these collaborative efforts with these corporations are really actually making a difference in these sectors. And also, that concert that Chance the Rapper and Vic Mensa, I
The Black
cannot remember,
Star?
Black
Yeah,
Star.
yeah.
That's another example of how collaborative efforts between somebody from the States and people on the continent have come together to do something really amazing. They did their first one in Ghana. They're doing another one in Rwanda, I believe, in South Africa as well. So they're trying to like tap into every aspect of the continent, working together with local communities on the ground to create, something amazing. And it was free. So they really wanted to encourage it, because some of these other concerts, like Afro Nation and Afro Future, are not affordable to the local community. And these people have to make concessions for all these, things being built up and all of this traffic coming in. And they get all the negative aspects, but don't actually get to enjoy any of this programming because it is far out of their pay grade. So what I love about Black Star Line is that they make it completely accessible, completely affordable, and they're employing people from that same community in these countries. So we've actually seen like businesses and corporations at that large scale doing that. And I think as individuals, we can also do that at every level that you can scale. We can see this happening. And even in my own way, independently, I'm doing that. If enough of us have that mindset and we're intentional, we will be seeing this happening more and more. And as a Pan-Africanist, that's what I want to see.
Wow, amazing. Wow. So your story is a true testament of
Hello.
resilience. You back
Yeah.
here in New York.
That's right.
I reached out. The timing was perfect.
Perfect.
And we got connected, and
Yeah.
here we are. And you're out here in New York grinding,
That's all.
doing what you do.
Amen.
All I know is the future is bright for you.
Thank you.
And I know this is not the first time we're doing this.
Yeah.
You're definitely resourceful, especially you speak both languages in terms of the language on the ground there in Africa and the language here.
Yeah,
Is,
absolutely.
it makes it easier
Yeah, it does.
for all of us to consume the information. Thank you for your candid, honest opinions.
Don't be mad, y'all. Don't be
It's,
mad.
it's all good. We have to be honest with ourselves to grow and to
Yeah.
improve.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
We need the transparency.
Yes, yes, yes. So, any final thoughts for you?
Any
Any.
final thoughts? Yeah, I mean, I want everybody to come back home. Like Marcus Garvey wanted us to come home. But the truth of the matter is, like he said, you can't bring everybody with you.
Yes.
So if you're coming to Africa and you're coming with a mindset that you want to come in respectfully, observing the culture and finding how you can fit into that and uplift that, then please come. But if you're coming to create your own little separate community, separate from everybody else, and want to like self-victimize and not truly understand what's happening, just stay where you at,
You
please.
see what I'm
We don't
saying?
need none of that.
Yes,
Pan-Africanist
yes,
only.
yes.
Only.
And this is why we're saying the shift from individual ambition to collective wealth creation. We have to integrate and be, collaborate, share our resources,
That's right.
educate each other, connect to one another, so the money, the investments, all these things can go
And we
around,
can grow.
around. So thank you again for watching this episode. It's been amazing. Like, share, subscribe. You know how we do, and we'll continue.
Oh,
Yeah, go
can I
ahead.
tell them where to find me?
Absolutely. I was about to
Okay.
turn it over to you.
Hi
Yeah.
guys. Okay. So, if you want to learn more about all the stuff we talked about today, please check out my official website. It's delassie.com. That's DELLASIE.com. There's music, there's videos, there's press. I talk about my humanitarian work, my clothes, and all that good stuff. So come, and you can find me anywhere online under my name, Delassie, everywhere except TikTok is one Delassie. But yeah, everywhere else is Delassie. So
Yeah.
please find me.
Yeah. Shout out. Make sure you check her out, right? But I
Yes.
forgot to say something, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I look at you, right, and
Oh.
I hear your bars,
Oh,
the rap,
Lord.
is like I can't even believe this woman sitting here got feisty, crazy fire bars. So definitely check out her music. And another
Yes.
thing is, I don't know if you quite know, but I got some skills, on the music production tip.
Vic.
Yeah, so maybe one day we'll meet at the studio
We
in
got
Accra
to.
somewhere.
That's a
And
must.
we'll get something popping.
That's a must.
All right, y'all. Thank you very much for joining me again on this episode of The Leverage, powered by Next 400 Bound. We're still creating a legacy of wealth and community. It's very exciting to share this moment with Delassie. You heard her. Check her out on all the great things she's doing for business, entrepreneurship, Ghana, from BK to GH, all that good stuff. Until the next episode, stay informed, stay positive, stay focused, and we'll catch you again. Peace out.